Hello guys, my name is Lars Stender. I'm a writer from Denmark who specializes in science fiction and fantasy stories. I'm here today to read from my fantasy novel Mandigo and the Hellhounds. If you want to know more about me and my books, please follow me on Facebook. Mandigo and the Hellhounds, Chapter 63. Mandigo felt a light breeze touch his forehead and opened his eyes. He looked right into Lady Arundel's elven face. It was her touch that had awoken him. She almost liked herself again, and she gave him a broad smile. For a moment, he wasn't sure where he was, but then he remembered everything. He sat up abruptly and clutched his head because it suddenly had a strong headache. Come down, Lady Arundel said and got up. You hit your head and lost consciousness. Mandigo looked around. The large underground chamber had been considerably damaged, but all the demons seemed to be gone. There wasn't any trace of the Lord of Shadows either, and neither was Mortero to be seen anywhere. Mandigo looked at the Elf Queen questioningly. They are all gone. You managed to close the portal to the dark dimension in time. It's all over. For now. She gestured towards some figures just a little further. Greater! Mortarton! Mandigo cried as he rushed over to them. Greater was lying outstretched on the floor. Sorry. Mortarton was kneeling by her shoulders and trying to support her head. Mandigo kneeled down on the other side of her and placed his hand at the back of her neck. Greater, he called softly. She was very weak. When he gently lifted her head, the almost inaudible death rattle passed through her chapped lips. Small streams of blood trickled from her eyes, ears, nose, and the corners of her mouth. Oh, Greater, Mandigo mumbled, as if his throat choked up at the sight of his battered aunt and first teaching. At the sound of his voice, she blinked her eyes and then opened them wide. Sorry. When she saw his face, she smiled a little out a sigh. Oh, Mandigo, my dear boy. We managed to meet again, she whispered in a fading voice. Mandigo merely nodded and struggled to hold back his tears. You can't die, he said. Greater's face twisted. I'm afraid that Mortero's magic was a tad too strong for me, my boy. Just a tad. Then she smiled again. But you defeated him, I hear. She glanced at Mortarton. The little nasty gnome sent him a melancholic smile and shrugged his narrow shoulders. I told her some of what had happened, he said. What shall I do without you? Mandigo asked, sniffing as he held Greater's hand. He lifted his tearful gaze pleadingly at Lady Arundel. Can't you help her? But the Elf Queen shook her head sorrowfully and answered telepathically. Her injuries are too great. I've already done everything I could do. You and she still have a little time together. That's all I can do. Mandigo looked down at Greater again. I missed you so much, and yet you were still close. Why didn't you reveal yourself to me earlier? When you didn't come that morning to my house in Oak Hill, I thought you didn't want to go with me and Bellatrix. It wasn't until much later that I found out what your uncle had done. But first I had to find a safe place for Bellatrix. When I finally got there, I had to figure out what Mortero's plans were. Suddenly, Greater's eyes flared wide open for a brief moment, and she stared intensely at Mandigo. Mandigo, my dear boy, listen carefully. The Lord of Shadows has not been defeated. He will try again. You must constantly be on your guard. He is going to pursue you now. You must find Bellatrix and the Jewel of Light. The girl is Sardan's and the original Bellatrix's last living descendant. When Mortero kidnapped you, I brought her down to a friend in Suara, Harun al-Jamal. You must go down there and find her. before Grimwald and Motero's remaining initiates do. Mandigo felt a chill run down his spine, and at thought of what Grimwald and initiates had in store for the little girl should they get hold of her. Greta was right. He would have to find her before they did, no matter the cost. "I'll leave immediately," he said. Greta smiled weakly. Then her eyes grew strangely glassy, and she drew her last breath. The hand which Mandigo had been holding became limp. "Greta! Greta! Greta!" Mandigo called, but got no answer. "It's over. I'm sorry, Mandigo," Lady Arundel said sympathetically. A huge light appeared behind her. It filled the room with a soft golden white glow. "My people have found me," Lady Arundel said. "They're going to open the portal for me so I can go home. If you would like, Mandigo, I can take Greta with me. I'll make sure that she's properly laid to rest and that her soul will be guided over to the next world." Mandigo nodded speechlessly and stepped away from Greta. He did notice that little Mortartor went over and stood next to his leg, leaning his head against his knee. The great circling circled first Lady Arundel and then Greta. The Elf Queen slowly spread her arms, and Greta's body began to be lifted from the floor. Lady Arundel slowly backed into the light, and Greta's outstretched figure floated slowly after her. "Be brave, dear Mandigo," Lady Arundel said before disappearing entirely. "We'll meet again. Remember, you have friends who will help you on your journey." Then the portal closed, the light faded, and they were gone. End of chapter.